I just received my test results. Pancreatic cancer. 8 months to live. So I decided to test my children. See who truly cared about me versus my $60 million estate. That night, the pain sent me to the hospital. 2:30 a.m. Cold room. Alone. I pretended to sleep. Left my will on the bedside table. Banking information, inheritance details. Everything exposed. Then I watched through barely open eyes as each person entered my room. My son came. My daughter came. But the person who actually helped me, who saw me as a human being instead of a wallet, you'll never guess who. I'm grateful you're here with me right now. Before I continue, please comment below. Where are you watching this from? What time is it there? When I got that diagnosis, I realized how much every connection counts. 6 months ago in a doctor's office in Seattle, my life changed. Not because I learned I was dying, but because I learned I might die alone. Dr. Nina Whitmore sat across from me, her hands folded on the desk. Outside, Seattle rain blurred the city into gray watercolor. "Mr. Hartwell," she said, "Stage 3 pancreatic cancer. Aggressive. 8 to 12 months. I didn't flinch. I'd built Morgan Industries from nothing. I knew how to hear bad news without showing weakness. "Treatment options?" I asked. She talked about chemotherapy, clinical trials, palliative care. I listened, but my mind wandered to my penthouse, overlooking Puget Sound, to the silence filling those rooms, to the phone that only rang when someone wanted something. "Do you have family?" Dr. Whitmore asked. "Someone to support you through this." That's when it hit me. Not the cancer, the question. I had children. 2 of them. Malcolm, 42, a corporate lawyer. Fallon, 38, a marketing executive. But did I have family? "Yes," I said. "I have 2 children." I left with a folder of pamphlets and sat in my Mercedes pulling out my phone. I called Malcolm first. "Dad, I'm heading into a deposition. Can this wait?" "I have cancer," I said. "Stage 3, pancreatic. 8 to 12 months. Silence. "Then what? How bad?" I told him. "Okay," Malcolm finally said. "Have you talked to Russell Kendrick?" "You're a state lawyer, because, Dad, if this is terminal, we need to think about tax implications. The will." "The will, not 'are you okay?'" "Not, 'I'm coming over.'" "The will? I'll handle it," I said and hung up. I called Fallon next. She answered breathless. "Dad, hi. I'm running to a client meeting. What's up?" I told her. Same words. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Should I come over? Do I need to come now?" For a moment I felt hope. Then she continued. "Because I have this huge campaign launch next week, but if you need me right now, I can maybe reschedule. I mean, it'll piss off the client, but if you're literally dying, right this second." "I'm not dying right this second," I said. "Okay, good. So I'll visit soon. Maybe this weekend we'll talk about your healthcare directive, power of attorney, all that stuff." All that stuff. I hung up. I sat in that car in that parking garage and realized something that hurt more than cancer. My children didn't ask how I felt. They asked how it affected them. I drove home to my penthouse. 4,000 square feet of windows and marble. Empty. I stood looking out at the Sound, thinking about Lillian, my wife, dead 5 years from a stroke. When she was alive, this place was full. Malcolm and Fallon came for Sunday dinners. We were a family. After Lillian died, the dinners stopped. The calls became shorter. Visits became obligations. I became something else. Not a father, a portfolio, an inheritance. I had built an empire, but I didn't know if I had a family. So I decided to find out the truth. Not with questions, not with lawyers, but with silence. I would test them. I would see if they loved me, or if they just loved what I would leave behind. Over the next few days back at my penthouse, overlooking Puget Sound, I watched my children, really watched them, and I planned. Malcolm came first, Tuesday afternoon, suit briefcase, a kiss on my cheek. Professional, efficient. "How are you feeling, Dad?" "Tired." "Started treatment." "Next week." He nodded, checking his watch. 42 years old, and still couldn't sit still. We sat in my study. He talked about his firm, a merger case, billable hours. Then inevitably, "Dad, about your estate plan. Have you updated it?" "What?" "Well, with the diagnosis," he cleared his throat, "there are tax advantages, gift exemptions, trusts. I could connect you with someone who specializes in—" "I have Russell Kendrick." "Right. Oh, but Dad, Russell's old school. There are newer strategies, ways to minimize what the government takes." "What the government takes?" I remembered something. 10 years ago, Malcolm borrowed $500,000 for a startup opportunity. He'd said, "Dad, I love you. I'll pay you back in 6 months, I promise." 10 years, not a dime. When I brought it up, he got defensive. I thought it was a gift, Dad. Family helps family. Family helps family. One direction, apparently. Malcolm left after 30 minutes. Sorry, deposition prep. Fallon came Thursday afternoon. She burst through the door, all energy and perfume. "Daddy." She hugged me tight. Real. For a moment I felt something. Then she pulled back and started talking. Her drive over, her client, her impossible boss, her latest campaign that went viral. 15 minutes before asking, "So how are you? Are you scared?" "A little," I admitted. She squeezed my hand. "You're the strongest man I know. You'll beat this." I won't, I thought. We had dinner. Take-out sushi. She picked at her California roll and talked about Seattle. The new galleries downtown, that restaurant in Capitol Hill everyone's raving about. Her favorite coffee shop in Fremont. "You could slow down," I said. "Spend more time here." She laughed. "Dad, my career's taking off. I can't just pause everything. Even if I—" "You're not dying tomorrow," she interrupted gently. "You have time. We have time. Then, have you thought about healthcare directives? Power of attorney, I was reading this article about estate planning. It's so important to have everything organized. For your peace of mind." "My peace of mind? I'll handle it," I said. She left that evening. Had to get back across town. She hugged me at the door. "I love you, Daddy." 3 years ago, she'd said those exact words. "I love you, Daddy." Then 30 seconds later, "So I found this amazing condo downtown, but I'm short on the down payment. Could you maybe—" I gave her the money. She sent me a thank you card with a generic message and a photo of the Seattle skyline. After she left, I stood at my window. The sound was gray and choppy. I thought about all the years building my company, making deals, reading people, testing their loyalty. In business, I never took anyone at their word. I watched what they did when they thought no one was looking. Why should family be different? The test was simple. I would pretend to need them, and I would see if they noticed. It was a small test, but I've learned that small tests reveal the biggest truths. Saturday afternoon, rain drumming against the windows like impatient fingers. Malcolm arrived first. He was always punctual when it came to business. I'd prepared carefully. The library was cold. I'd turned off the heat 2 hours earlier, letting the chill seep into the room. Seattle's spring rain had a way of making everything damp and bone cold. Perfect. I sat in my leather armchair, the one Lillian used to say made me look like a king. I'd positioned myself carefully, slumped, vulnerable. My tablet sat on the mahogany side table screen glowing. My will, digital version, password written on a sticky note beside it like I'd been too tired to remember security. Careless, old dying. I closed my eyes and waited. I heard the library door open, Malcolm's footsteps on hardwood, expensive shoes, Italian leather. I'd bought him those shoes for his birthday. "Dad, I'll—" His voice, quiet, testing. I kept my breathing steady. Deep. The rhythm of sleep. I'd practiced this. In business, I'd learned to read people by staying silent. Silence made people reveal themselves. Dad louder this time. I didn't move. Silence. I could feel him standing there, probably 10 feet away. I could sense his hesitation through my closed eyelids. Then footsteps. Not toward me, toward the table. I cracked my left eye open, just a sliver. A millimeter gap hidden by my eyelashes. Malcolm stood by the table. He'd loosened his tie. His jaw was tight. He glanced at me once, then at the tablet. His hand reached out, hesitated, reached again. He picked it up. My heart hammered. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe he'd set it down and come check on me. Maybe he'd notice how cold the room was. Maybe he'd get a blanket. Malcolm swiped the screen. I watched his eyes scan the document. My will, the distribution of my estate, Morgan Industries, the penthouse, the investments, everything I'd built. His lips moved slightly as he read. Then his mouth curved, not a smile. Something else. Satisfaction. He whispered, barely audible, "Finally, about time he put this in writing." He smirked, actually smirked. My chest tightened, not from cancer, from something worse. Malcolm scrolled down. His expression changed. Disappointment. He'd reached the date at the bottom. Last modified 6 months ago. This wasn't the newest version. This wasn't post-diagnosis. He set the tablet down, not gently. A small thud on the mahogany. He looked at me again. I kept my eyes closed, my breathing steady. For a moment I thought he might come closer, might touch my shoulder, Might say, "Dad, wake up, are you okay?" Instead, he checked his watch. He turned toward the door. "Wait," I wanted to scream. "I'm cold. I'm your father. I'm right here." But I stayed silent. I stayed still. I kept pretending. His footsteps crossed the room. The door opened. Closed. Gone. I sat there in that leather chair in that cold library, listening to the rain. I didn't open my eyes. If I opened them, I'd have to face what I'd just seen. My son had checked my will before checking if I was breathing. The cold in the room had nothing to do with the thermostat anymore. It came from inside, from the place where I'd stored 42 years of hope. Hope that blood meant something. That family meant something. I opened my eyes finally. The room was empty. Gray light through rain-streaked windows. The tablet glowing on the table like evidence. I touched my chest where Lillian's hand used to rest, where Malcolm's small head used to lean when he was 5 years old and afraid of thunderstorms. That little boy was gone. In his place was a man who saw me as a balance sheet. I kept my eyes closed. I kept hoping Fallon would be different. An hour later, I heard heels on hardwood. Fallon. I could smell her perfume before I saw her shadow in the doorway. I'd stayed in the chair. Same position, same cold room. Maybe Fallon would be different. She stopped at the threshold. "God, it's freezing in here. Dad's going to catch pneumonia." Hope flickered. She noticed. She cares. Footsteps crossed the room. But not toward me, toward the thermostat. A click, heat turning on, vents humming. Through barely open eyes, I watched her adjust it. 65 to 72. She rubbed her arms. Then she turned, looked at me. "Come here," I thought. "Check if I'm okay." She pulled out her phone and walked to the sofa, 10 feet away. She sat, started scrolling. Warm air flowed from the vents, but I was still cold, because she was right there and she might as well have been across town. Her phone rang. She answered. "Hey, yes. No, I'm at my dad's. Yeah, he's resting." Her voice rose. "So the Q4 projections are insane. But the client meeting got moved to Monday. Can you believe it?" She laughed, that bright, professional laugh. I opened my eyes slowly, blinked. "Fallon." She jumped. "Oh, Dad. Hold on, let me call you back." She hung up. "Sorry, did I wake you? I thought you were just resting your eyes." "I was sleeping." "Oh." She stood, came closer, kissed my cheek. "Quick. How are you feeling?" "Cold?" "I turned the heat up," she said, gesturing to the thermostat. "It's 72 now." I looked at her. When she was little, she'd climb into my lap during thunderstorms. "Daddy, don't let the scary sounds get me." Now she stood 3 feet away, checking her watch. "Have you talked to Russell Kendrick recently?" she asked. "Your estate lawyer." There it was. "What?" "Just thinking about your healthcare directive, power of attorney stuff. Did you sign it?" "It's really important, Dad, for your peace of mind." "My peace of mind." "I'll handle it." She smiled, relieved. "Okay, good. Because I was reading this article about estate planning. It's so important to have everything organized. You know, just in case. Just in case I die. I have a Zoom meeting in 20 minutes, she said. Big client. But I wanted to check on you." She leaned down, kissed my forehead, fast. "I'll call you next week. Okay, love you, Daddy." Her heels clicked across the hardwood. The door closed. I sat there alone. The thermostat read 72. The vents hummed. Warm air filled the room. But I was still cold. Cold in a way heat couldn't fix. She had turned up the temperature, but she never thought to warm her father. I sat there in my expensive apartment, and I cried. Not because I was dying, but because I realized I'd already been dead to them for years. And then that night the pain proved me right. A different kind of pain. The kind that doesn't care about tests or feelings. The kind that sends you to the emergency room at midnight. By midnight I couldn't breathe through the pain. The cancer wasn't waiting for my emotional revelations. It had its own schedule. I called 911 from my bathroom floor, curled around the agony in my gut. The operator's voice was calm. "Stay on the line, sir. Help is coming." The ambulance arrived, red lights painting my penthouse windows. EMTs loaded me onto a stretcher, started at an IV. Swedish Medical Center, emergency room, fluorescent lights too bright. Dr. Jacob Torres appeared above me. "Mr. Hartwell, your pancreas is inflamed. We need to admit you." I nodded, couldn't speak through the pain. "Emergency contact," a nurse asked. "My children," I managed. "Malcolm, Fallon." They called. I heard the nurse's voice in the background, professional and urgent. My phone rang. Malcolm. "Dad," his voice groggy, alarmed. "The hospital called. Are you okay?" "I'm admitted. I'll be there first thing in the morning. It's 1 a.m. I can't drive right now." "Tomorrow's fine," I said, gave him an out. "Okay, get some rest. I'll be there by 8. He hung up. Fallon called 2 minutes later. "Oh my God, Dad. Should I come? Do I need to come right now? Is it that bad?" "I'm stable," I said. "Come tomorrow." "Are you sure? Because I can leave now, but—" "Tomorrow," I repeated. "I'm fine." I wasn't fine, but I was used to being alone. They moved me to a private room at 2:30 in the morning. The day shift nurse settled me and checked vitals, adjusted my IV. Then her shift ended. She left. I lay there in the dark, only the hallway light seeping under the door, machines beeping their monotonous rhythm, my heartbeat, my blood pressure, my failing body reduced to numbers on a screen. The hospital blanket was thin, rough. The room was cold. 68 degrees to keep bacteria from growing. I thought about Malcolm checking my will, about Fallon turning up the heat but never touching me, about the tests I'd designed. What had I proven that my children were selfish? I'd known that already. Or had I hoped to be wrong? Malcolm and Fallon would come tomorrow. They'd visit, ask about treatment plans and living wills, do their duty, check the box marked good children. But would they see me? Or would they see the inheritance slipping away with each labored breath? I closed my eyes, not to test anyone, not to see who'd cover me. I was done testing, done hoping. I just wanted to sleep. The machines beeped. The ventilation hummed. Somewhere down the hall, someone coughed. I heard footsteps in the corridor. Soft, careful, getting closer. Then the door opened. Quiet, gentle. Someone entering for night rounds. I heard footsteps approach my bed. I kept my eyes closed. Not because I wanted to test anyone anymore, but because I was too tired to face another stranger who would check my vitals and leave. Too tired to smile politely while someone did their job and moved on. I just wanted to sleep. To stop thinking, to stop hurting. The footsteps stopped beside my bed. Someone was standing there, watching me. I kept my eyes closed. The footsteps came closer, then stopped beside my bed. I waited for the routine. Check the IV, check the vitals, leave. I heard a clipboard lift from its hook, papers rustling. Then a voice, male, young, gentle. "Mr. Hartwell. Sir, I'm your nurse tonight. I'm going to check your vitals. Just want to make sure you're comfortable." I didn't respond. Didn't move, old habit, playing dead to see what people really did. Except I wasn't testing anymore. I was just too tired to open my eyes. Fingers touched my wrist, light, professional, taking my pulse. His touch was careful, not rushed like the day shift had been. He counted silently. The blood pressure cuff inflated around my arm, squeezed, released. The machine beeped softly. I heard him move to the IV stand, adjusting the drip rate, the soft click of the roller clamp. He was thorough, methodical, but not mechanical. There was something different about the way he moved, unhurried, like he actually cared that each task was done right. He paused, silent for a moment. Then I felt it, a hand on my forehead, palm flat, checking my temperature the old-fashioned way. "You're a little cold," he said, talking to himself, not expecting an answer. Footsteps moved away, toward the door. I thought he's leaving, like everyone else. Check the boxes, move on to the next patient. But the footsteps stopped. I heard a door open, not the room door. A cabinet, hinges creaking slightly. The warming cabinet. Footsteps returned, approaching the bed again. I felt weight settle over me, a blanket, warm, soft, not like the thin hospital sheet. This one had been heated. Then another, a second warm blanket layered on top. His hand smoothed them down, tucked the edges around my shoulders. Careful, gentle, like it mattered. I heard him walk to the wall. A click, the thermostat adjusting, the hum of the heating system changing pitch. Then something I didn't expect, the sound of a chair scraping across linoleum close to my bed. He sat down. Nurses don't sit. They don't have time. They're overworked, understaffed. They do what's required and move on because 30 other patients need them. But this one sat. I heard him sigh, not frustrated, just settling in, like he had nowhere else to be. "There," he said softly, "that's better." Silence, just the machines beeping, the ventilation humming, and him sitting there, watching over me. Minutes passed, maybe 3, maybe 5, I lost track. He stood. I felt his presence beside the bed again. His hands adjusted the pillow under my head, gentle fingers, making sure I was comfortable. Then he did something that broke me. He pulled the blanket up, all the way to my chin, the way a parent tucks in a child, the way Lillian used to tuck in Malcolm and Fallon when they were small and scared of the dark. And he whispered, Sleep well, Mr. Hartwell. You're safe now. My throat closed. My chest tightened. Behind my closed eyelids, tears burned. I felt one escape, sliding down my temple onto the pillow. I kept my eyes shut. If I opened them, I'd sob. I'd fall apart completely. Because in 70 years of life, in 42 years of being Malcolm's father, and 38 years of being Fallon's father, in 5 years of being a widower, dying alone in an empty penthouse, no one had ever said those words to me. You're safe now. Who was this stranger who cared? Minutes passed. Maybe 5? Maybe 10. He stayed. In a hospital where nurses barely have time to breathe between patients, this one stayed. I heard him sitting there, his breathing, the chair creaking slightly as he shifted. I was curious beyond measure, but I kept my eyes closed. Then he spoke, quietly, like he was talking to himself. Mr. Hartwell, I don't know if you can hear me. You're probably asleep. A pause. I should probably just do my rounds and go, but I wanted to stay a moment. Another pause. Longer. My name is Ashton Novak. My heart stopped. Novak. Pauline, you probably don't remember me, he continued. I was just a kid when my mom worked for you. Pauline Novak. She was your housekeeper for 20 years. She retired 2 years ago. Talks about you all the time. He laughed softly. She always said you were a good man. A little lonely, she said, but good. I never understood why she was so loyal to you. I mean, you were just her boss, right? His voice changed, became quieter, more vulnerable. But last year, when I graduated nursing school, she told me the truth. She said I didn't pay for school with loans. She said, you paid. All of it. $45,000. You paid it directly to the school. You told her to never tell me. You wanted me to think I did it on my own. My chest tightened. I remembered. 4 years ago. Pauline had come to me crying. Her boy had gotten into nursing school but couldn't afford it. I'd written the check that same day. Made her promise not to tell him. I wanted him to believe in himself, not owe me. Mom said you wanted me to be proud of myself, not grateful. Proud. His voice cracked slightly. But Mr. Hartwell, I am grateful. I never got to thank you. So tonight, when I saw your name on the patient list, I asked my supervisor to assign me to you. I wanted to take care of you. The way you took care of me, even when I didn't know it. I heard him stand, the chair scraping back. You probably can't hear me, but thank you, sir. Thank you. My tears fell then, not one, not two. They came in a flood, silent, soaking the hospital pillow. I heard his footsteps move toward the door. He paused. For a moment I thought he saw my tears. I thought he'd say something, ask if I was awake, but he didn't. The door closed, soft, gentle, and I lay there in the dark, covered in warm blankets by a young man I'd forgotten I'd helped, crying. Not crying for myself, crying because Malcolm and Fallon couldn't be bothered to drive across town at 1 a.m, but Ashton Novak had asked to be assigned to me. Crying because my children had checked my will and my thermostat, but Ashton had covered me with 2 heated blankets and sat beside my bed. Crying because in 70 years I'd built an empire, I'd raised 2 children, I'd been married to a woman I loved, and the only person who'd made me feel safe was a 24-year-old night nurse whose college tuition I'd paid and forgotten about. I cried until the pillow was soaked, until my throat ached, until the machines beeped their concern and I had to steady my breathing so no one would come check on me. Because I didn't want anyone else. I wanted Ashton, the stranger who wasn't a stranger, the son who wasn't my son, the one who'd said you're safe now. When I finally opened my eyes, pale sunlight was creeping through the hospital blinds. The room was warm. The blankets were still there. Ashton was gone. I looked around. The 2 heated blankets still covered me. The thermostat glowed 72 degrees. I touched the fabric, soft, warm. Not just warming my body, warming something deeper. I heard footsteps in the hallway. Voices. The morning shift arriving. I turned my head toward the door. Through the gap I could see Ashton at the nurse's station. Blue scrubs, writing notes on a chart. He looked tired. 12-hour night shift ending. Ashton, I called out, my voice hoarse. He turned, surprised. Then he walked into my room. Mr. Hartwell, you're awake. How are you feeling? Come here, I said. Sit down, please. He hesitated, glanced at his watch. His shift was probably over. He should go home. Sleep. But he sat in the same chair he'd sat in hours ago. Do you need anything? He asked. Professional. Caring. Pain medication, water. I need to tell you something, I said. Last night, I wasn't asleep. His expression shifted, confusion. Sir, When you came in? When you brought the blankets? When you talked to me?" I paused. I heard every word. His face went red. Oh, God. "Mr. Hartwell, I'm so sorry. That was unprofessional. I shouldn't have." "Stop," I said, firmly. "Don't apologize. You gave me something I didn't know I needed." He sat back, quiet, uncertain. I looked at him. Really looked at him. 24 years old, Pauline's son. Tired from a long shift. But he'd stayed anyway. "Why did you bring me extra blankets?" I asked. "Hospital protocol is 1 blanket per patient." He answered without hesitation, simple, honest. "Because you were cold, sir. Cold is cold. Doesn't matter if you're a patient or a CEO or anyone. If someone's cold, you cover them. Cold is cold." 4 words, so simple, so profound. My throat tightened. "That's it?" I asked. That's the only reason?" "That's the only reason," he said. I told him then. About the tests at home. About Malcolm reading my will while I pretended to sleep. About Fallon adjusting the thermostat but never touching me. About how I'd tested them to see if they'd cover me when I was cold. And they hadn't. Ashton listened. He didn't interrupt. Didn't judge. His face showed something I hadn't seen in years. Empathy. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then he leaned forward slightly. "Mr. Hartwell," he said gently, "can I ask you something?" "Yes." "When was the last time your kids saw you as their dad instead of their inheritance?" The question hit me like a physical blow. I opened my mouth, closed it, tried to think. When had Malcolm last called me dad without asking for something? When had Fallon last visited without mentioning estate planning? When had either of them touched me, hugged me, looked at me like I was their father instead of a future bank account? I couldn't answer. "I don't know," I whispered. Ashton nodded, not triumphant, just sad. "Maybe," he said quietly, "that's the real test. Not whether they'd cover you when you're cold, but whether they still see you at all." He stood, placed a hand on my shoulder. Brief, warm. "I need to clock out," he said, "but I'll check on you tomorrow night, if that's okay." "Please," I said, "please do." He smiled. Tired but genuine. "Get some rest, Mr. Hartwell." He left. I lay there in that hospital bed, covered in blankets a stranger had brought me, and I thought about his question. That question. That one question from a 24-year-old night nurse. It haunted me more than the cancer ever could, because I didn't have an answer. And that was the most terrifying diagnosis of all. 6 months later, I sat in my penthouse watching Ashton plant tulips in the terrace garden. He came every Saturday morning, volunteered, said he liked the quiet, the view, the soil under his fingernails. I watched him work, his hands gentle with the bulbs, pressing them into the earth like they mattered, like they'd bloom. The chemo had worked, bought me time. Dr. Whitmore said maybe a year, maybe 2, enough. My phone buzzed. "Malcolm." "Dad, I wanted to check in. Have you reviewed the estate plan with Russell Kendrick? Just want to make sure everything's organized, for your peace of mind." "For my peace of mind?" I said. "Good, that's good. Okay, well, call me if you need anything." He hung up. My phone buzzed again. Fallon. "Hey, Daddy, just thinking about you. How are you feeling? Also, have you finalized the trust documents? I just want to make sure everything's clear. For everyone's sake." "For everyone's sake. It's handled," I said. "Oh, good. Okay, love you. Talk soon." She hung up. I set the phone down, looked out at Ashton. He was laughing at something. Maybe a bird. Maybe just the sunshine. I'd revised my will 2 months ago. Sat with Russell Kendrick in his office. Signed the papers. Malcolm would get $2 million. Fallon would get $2 million. Enough to live comfortably. More than most people see in a lifetime. Ashton would get $20 million. A full nursing scholarship fund. 15% of my company shares conditional on 5 years of charitable medical work. The rest, $150 million. The Novak Hartwell Fund. Scholarships for the children of low-income workers. Kids whose parents cleaned houses and planted gardens and raised other people's children while their own went without. Kids like Ashton. Ashton didn't know. I hadn't told him. Wouldn't tell him. Not yet. Because that's not why he was here. He wasn't here for my money. He was here because I was cold and he had a blanket. Russell had asked if I was sure. "Your children will contest this." "Let them," I'd said. "They'll get what's fair. But I'm not rewarding greed. I'm rewarding the son I didn't know I had." Ashton stood up, brushed dirt off his jeans, waved at me through the window. I waved back. My children saw a dying wallet. Ashton saw a cold human. That's the difference between family and bloodline. Lillian used to say family isn't who you're born to. It's who shows up. She was right. She was always right. Ashton came inside, poured himself water, sat across from me at the kitchen table. "You should see those tulips in spring," he said. "They're going to be beautiful." Spring. He thought I'd see spring. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. But I wasn't afraid anymore, because I'd learned something in that hospital room under those 2 warm blankets. Love isn't a test. It's not something you earn. It's not something you force. It's something you recognize. When someone covers you not because they have to, but because you're cold. When someone sits beside your bed, not because you're rich, but because you're alone. When someone plants tulips in December because they believe you'll see them bloom. I looked at Ashton, 24 years old, his mother's eyes, his mother's kindness. My son, not by blood, but by choice, by action, by love. The thermostat read 72 degrees, but I was warm, not from the heat, from the boy across the table, talking about tulips, planning spring. I was dying, but I wasn't alone. I'd found my family, and it found me. Cold is cold, and warmth is warmth. It's really that simple. So that's my story. A true story about a dying man who tested his children and found his real family in the most unexpected place. If you're listening to this, learn from my mistakes. Don't wait until you're dying to ask yourself if your children love you or love what you'll leave behind. Don't build an empire and forget to build a family. Don't test people when you should be loving them. God gave me 8 months. He gave me 12. And in those extra months, he taught me something I'd spent 70 years missing. That family isn't written in blood or wills. It's written in blankets brought at 2 a.m., in tulips planted in December, in hands that hold you not because they have to, but because you're cold. This is one of those grandpa stories you might not want to hear, but it's a true story, the kind that strips away everything you thought mattered and shows you what actually does. Malcolm and Fallon got their inheritance, $2 million each. They didn't contest it. Maybe they were ashamed. Maybe they just didn't care anymore. I'll never know. Ashton cried when Russell Kendrick read him the will, said he didn't deserve it. I told him that's exactly why he did. These grandpa stories aren't supposed to have happy endings, but by God's grace, mine does. Not because I'm alive, but because I learned what warmth really means before I died. So here's my advice from one old man who almost got it all wrong. Don't let your children inherit your money if they never inherited your time. Don't die rich and alone. And don't forget that every true story about love starts with someone choosing to care when they didn't have to. If this grandpa stories resonated with you, leave a comment below. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to this channel, because these are the stories that change lives one truth at a time. Cold is cold. Warmth is warmth. Remember that.